Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to do another little short mini series on the Wikipedia. All right, it's the Wikipedia viewer, so it's build a Wikipedia viewer on freeCodeCamp. That's going to be our next project. I'm going to try to keep it down to 3 videos, and I'm going to actually try to do this a little more efficiently. Now, the code for this is pretty straightforward and pretty simple. The hard part is actually getting the API to work. Um, and if you've tried this by yourself already, I'm sure you've gotten frustrated and you've already spent a few hours just looking through API documentation, trying to figure out why it doesn't work, searching Stack Overflow, that kind of stuff. Hopefully you've gone through and done all of that already before you started just coming right here. So I'm going to start pretty quickly here. So I've already opened up a new code pen, and I've copy and pasted some code from our weather app, and I've started modifying things right off the bat, so that way I can get really into the meat of the project, which is what I want. At this point, if you're at this point following along, especially if you're one of my students, you definitely should be able to get up and running with HTML, CSS, and get something that looks half decent without any sort of outside intervention, which is where that really should be your goal at this point. So now we're just going to be clarifying the Wikipedia API and some little odd things about it. But I got it to work with help, all right, by looking stuff up and Stack Overflow on YouTube, of course. And so I'm going to show you how all this works. So I'm going to start by sharing this stuff for you. Ooh. And I'll show you where I'm at here. All right, I opened up my weather app that we just finished doing, and there's your weather app, and you can see I have everything set up. And I just went ahead and I copied the CSS, because if you've been following me, you know if I used a lot of this same CSS, a lot of my stuff looks the same. It just makes it easier. And I've also opened up a body and a container fluid for my entire document, and I just copy and pasted in a nav bar. All right, I've modified this nav bar slightly. Notice this icon didn't change. The only thing I added is an icon right here. And what this does is, you can see here, I have the nav bar. It's inversed. It's fixed to the top. Then I have a nav bar brand, all right, with an href of top, all right. And then here we go, Wikipedia search app is what it's called. See, I encompassed all of this in an anchor tag, so that way when you click, it goes to the top of the page. Where's the top of the page? Well, here it is, right here at the top. All right, so as you're scrolling down through some of this stuff, we have that set. And again, this is in unordered lists. Then we have a new unordered list with navbar right. And here's my code pen. Now I skipped over something. This is what I skipped over right here. Now this is something that's new that I put in. We have to have a button that goes to a random Wikipedia article. So I Googled random Wikipedia article, and this is the page that came up. Nice. All right. However, you know, if I click on it, it gives me a random page article. It says click here and we'll send you somewhere. Okay, well, what is this address? What are they doing there? Well, if you right click on it and copy the link address and paste, not paste and go, just paste, you will see that you'll get this: HTTPS, English, Wikipedia, and special random. Oh, cool. It sends you to a random page. That's one of the things we have to be doing here in terms of our user stories. So all I did is I just made an unordered list. I made this an anchor tag. There's the anchor. There's the href right there. I copy and pasted it right in. Now, I made the target blank, so that way the page opens up outside of CodePen. That's what target blank is. And I just said random Wikipedia article. All right. And the class active just means that it turns black instead of looks like the rest of the stuff here. All right, I want it to look different. If you delete that active class, it'll just look normal. Okay, there you go. So if you like that better, you can do it like that. All right, that's all. I'm gonna leave that class as active for now, just because I just want it to stand out that that is different. Okay. Over here, we have the block. So I'm going to be dropping in some block elements, just like I've done previously. So you look at our YouTube weather app, and we just have one block here. I'm going to have 2 blocks of information. And so instead of splitting this out on one page, I just thought it would look nice with just 2 separate blocks. It looked just like this. And there's my CSS elements. If you haven't seen my videos before, I suggest going back and watching a few of those. We're kind of building on skills here. We also have a spacer, all right, which is just 5% of the padding. And here is your background. Again, this is the what I found that works, that covers everything, and you get the picture to cover nicely without any tiling or stretching or anything like that. So of course, since we've had that all figured out from a few projects ago, all we have to do is copy and paste that in, okay? And the spacer, you can make whatever you want, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know, make it 3% for this one. Maybe I want these elements closer together. It's okay. That doesn't really matter. There is something, however, that I want to do for this background. Now, previous projects, I had arrays for the background, and even in the portfolio page, I showed you how to use an array, so you can change it, whenever you want. But I'm not sure if I ever showed you how to just put a background in on with CSS. So here's background. All I need to do is add in a parameter for URL, right? And then we're going to plunk in a URL right there. And so what do I want the background to be? So I already found a background. Here it is. Hey, no. And so now I have a background that's stretched across that I want. Okay. And again, it's from Wikipedia, and it's just a Wikipedia background. I just did a Google image search, and again, this is what I came up with, obviously, and that's where this one came from. So before you get started here, if you're just started, I would go back, pause the video, and get to the point where you have some sort of navigation page set up, some CSS, and some HTML framework to work with here. All right, so it's pretty basic. If you've been following along with me, especially if you're in my class or sitting in front of me now, you should be able to go right ahead and just copy and paste that stuff in and just manipulate this stuff pretty quickly. You should be able to do that at this point. You shouldn't be needing that much hand-holding at this point, especially for some basic HTML and CSS that we've been using over and over again. Okay, so that part's out of the way. All right, I'm going to start off here. So there's my top. And I'm going to give myself another div. All right. And that div is going to have a class of spacer to spacer. And that's going to be my spacer. It's just the way I like to do it. It just makes it easy for me, and I can control the sizes. And since we're using responsive design, this div is my container fluid. That body is my open body. So I'm going to have a spacer. And then right after this spacer, all right, I'm going to have a block element. So I'm going to have a div with a class equal to block. All right. And so there's my block. Block. Oops. Div. There's my div. So here's my block element. Right. And then I'm going to want two of these. So there's one, Control C. And I want a spacer between them, right? So I'm just going to go like this, Control C. So now I have a spacer, a block, somewhere to put stuff, a spacer, a block, somewhere to put stuff. And the blocks basically have nothing in them, but they already have padding in them. So I can see, and the padding on my blocks, I think I put as 2%, right? Something like that. There we go. Since I already have this stuff set up from before, it makes it a lot easier so you can see that I actually have now areas to put things, which is all I really want. Okay, so what we're going to have is, let's go to this main spacer here. So spacer, which is this space, and block, so right inside of our block. If you want to clean this up and make it look a little better, I keep things spaced out mainly just for visual purposes here. We don't need any more CSS right now. CSS is done for until the end of the project pretty much. And now it kind of lets us see where we're at. So I'm going to add stuff into my first div. I'm going to put an H1 in here. Okay. So I'm going to go with the H1. And then again, I can put a class. I'm going to center the text on my H1. Equals text. Sure. Right. And then don't forget you must close your H1. All right. So inside of my H1 here, I'm going to have a span. All right, you can use a span, or you could just type in search Wikipedia. That's lowercase p. All right, so here we go. We have a search Wikipedia. And you can see it's kind of on top of this right here like this. All right. All right. So what else do we want here? So we have search Wikipedia. Of course, I stuck it on the wrong spot. This way I don't do it again. So spacer div. There we go. Just visually so I can see where I'm at. Search Wikipedia. Yay. There it is. Anyway. What do we have next here? So we have this little search. So all it does is give us a title. The next thing that we need is we need a form. Okay. We need a text input. So Bootstrap. Forms. So look, here's Bootstrap, and there's inline forms. Here's Bootstrap forms from like W3 schools, which I know isn't the best, but I don't want to go to the default Bootstrap. And here's all the information you know Bootstrap forms. All right. And again, just make sure you enable your Bootstrap on here. And again, the last working version outside the alpha at this time is 3.3.7. So if yours says something alpha something something 6, change that over to 3.3.7 right there, just like mine. And while you're in there, obviously, we're going to be using jQuery later on, so add in jQuery as well. But since you already know that, because you already have a header, I hope you've already done that. So let's see. After that H1, underneath there, we can put an input class. All right, this is where we can input information. And this class we can call form control. And this comes right from whether you go through W3 schools or you go through MDN or you go through the Bootstrap 3 documentation. This stuff is shown over and over and over again there. All right. And what we have to have here is an ID. So there's your form control. So that's just an input. I'm going to give this an ID so I can target it in jQuery. And I'm just going to call it search term things we're going to search. I've seen other people do it that way. It just kind of makes sense. So I'm going to borrow that as well because it sounds good. And then what do we have now? Oh, cool. We have an input field. We can input stuff. Cool, right? And again, that's just right in the documentation of Bootstrap. I can also take the contents of that, or I can overwrite the contents of that. So that's handy dandy. Alrighty. So what else do we want? We have that. Then we need a button, right? And you can get as fancy as you want with your buttons. I'm just going to have an ID of search because I'm going to use search. And it's going to have a type. That type's going to be button. Button. There you go. Where's button? But now let's bootstrap it. All right, so class equals btn primary. All right, and that's going to inherit the classes we set with our CSS anyway. So it's going to look nice. So there's a button, and since it's going to be search, we can have that button say something like search or submit or whatever you want it to have. Search. And we can search Wikipedia by clicking search. All right, makes sense. Button primary makes it blue. You can always change it by using some CSS. You could target that with CSS and turn it to black, gray, white, black, inverse, whatever your heart desires. Again, I'm more focused in on actually getting the API to work after I get the skeleton of this thing knocked out here. All right, so we have that search term in there. Now we can access things in the control. We have a button. All right, that button doesn't do anything. It's just there. All right, and that's all we really need there. So we have a search, a button, everything we need there, and then we have stuff down here. Well, there's a spacer that we need. Now I can add in another anchor tag if I want for underneath this block for, let's say, page 1 or section 1 or results, and I can always have another button that jumps down just in case you have a small screen or a mobile screen. That would actually be inserted right there. So if you want to do that and add an extra button, it would go right there. All right, especially if you're looking at putting that on any kind of smaller screen. All right, so that would go, actually no, it would go right here. All right, so this would be like we put like page 1, or you would have, and again, these are anchor tags like results. That wasn't results, but anyway, the results I get from the Wikipedia API, I'm going to populate down here. All right, that's all. So what do I want in this second block of information? So I have this second block of information here, and I just wanted to say search results. All right, so just like this one, I want it to be the same thing. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it, change this to results. So you have search Wikipedia and search results. Cool. Easy. So we have that. And then I'm going to have a, you know what, just so that's not stuck to the bottom, I'm going to add another spacer. And that's it. Yeah, that is it. So it's pretty simple. All right. It's not very complex, as you can see. And I'm going to kind of scroll up here. And you have search results. You can see where you search Wikipedia. I have a background, the nav bar, all set. So again, this is basic HTML, basic CSS. The only thing that we added was the form before, and I don't actually remember if I've went through and showed you how to put the URL in the body in the background. So I did it that way this time. All right. Next time, we're really going to be going over this API documentation. All right, let's close that. So we have this random page test too. That's done. So these are the two things we're going to be taking a look at next time, and it is kind of annoying, especially if you haven't done something like this before and requires a lot of work. So I'm going to stop this one right here and let you get caught up on your HTML and CSS and make yours look prettier than mine. And then I will see you next time. So hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you all later.